Today we're going to be unboxing the 2-player starter set for Fallout Wasteland Warfare, right after this. Hey everybody, Sam here from the Tabletop Hub, your one-stop shop for all things tabletop. And finally, after a long wait, my 2-player starter set has finally arrived. This actually arrived while I was at Tabletop Gaming Live. I went to Tabletop Gaming Live and I thought, hey, I'll pop over to the folks over at Modiphius. I'll have a game of Fallout Wasteland Warfare, see how it plays. And as I was walking over to the Modiphius booth, I got an email from Modiphius saying that my 2-player starter set was on its way. And I arrived home to this spectacular specimen of a game, as well as all the little extras as well. So today what I thought I would do is open up the PVC starter set, which is the one that I have, let you guys see what's inside, and we'll chat through some little extras as well. So without further ado, let's get this bad boy opened up, let's see what we get inside, and we'll see where we go from there. Now, once you open it up, you're going to be, I've already started unpegging all of these plethora mound of tokens and counters. But that's what you're going to see whenever you open this up. It's going to look like there's a lot of counters. There are a lot of counters, by the way. There's also the Getting Acclimated book. Now, if you are new to tabletop gaming, if Fallout Wasteland Warfare is kind of like your first game, I would highly recommend diving into this book first before you dive into the rest of the rule books. This Getting Acclimated book is basically just like a quick start guide and helps you find your feet when playing the game, and gives a very short explanation as to some of the key aspects or key gameplay mechanics that you're going to be using while playing Fallout Wasteland Warfare as well. So if you're new to the game or new to tabletop gaming, do not skip this book. It's incredibly important. Aside from that, then you are into the literal plethora mound of minis. Look how many counters. You can see I've already kind of poked out a few of them. There's a lot of counters. You're going to want to get some kind of nice and tidy storage method to keep all those counters in. Aside from that, of course, one main thing that I have poked out of that are the, I was going to say measuring sticks. I guess that's kind of right. Measuring rulers, really, for range, for movement, for charging. And they're all very nicely color-coded as well. Dive on beyond that and you're actually going to find some mats. I actually didn't know that we got these in the 2-player starter set, if I'm honest with you. I thought we only got mats in the Red Rocket Scenic set. But let's open this up so you guys can have a little look. So this is kind of a 2x4, maybe 2x4 Red Rocket kind of scenario mat. As you can see with the little ruined road here. And I believe this one will probably be the same. Have I just got 2 of the same mat? I got 2 of the same mat. I don't think we get. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe we do get 2 of these per box, or alternatively, maybe the folks in the factory have just decided to give me 1 extra. Either way, I'm grateful. That'll be really useful whenever I run demo games of this game as well. So dive beyond that and then you're into the real meat and bones of the 2-player starter set. First of all, you're going to have your rule book, which is a really beautiful quality as always. I've got to sniff the book, get that new book smell. But this is the rule book, which you can of course get in PDF format as well. If you pre-ordered the game, do check your emails. You should have got an email from Modiphius giving you access to PDF formats of all of the rulebooks, so that you can kind of take it on the go and don't need to be looking around a big massive rulebook with you all the time as well. Aside from that, you also get your campaign handbook. Now this is chock full of scenarios and kind of helping you build your own campaign. There's information on the AI mechanics in the game, as well as building your settlement, which is one thing that I'm super excited to try in this game. As you may know, whenever you're playing Fallout Wasteland Warfare, your survivors, or your kind of chosen warband, so to speak, will have a settlement. And you can build up your settlement after every game to kind of develop a campaign itself. So if your survivors are taking on super mutants at the end of that match, they'll loot the battlefield, maybe get some caps, and you can invest those caps into upgrading your home base, upgrading your settlement to give your survivors perks the next time that they go into battle. It's a really, really cool mechanic, and we're starting to see this in more tabletop games as well, like Strontium Dog from Warlord, which has just came out, I think, a couple of months ago as well. So very excited to give that a try. Now, before we get on to the really exciting stuff, we'll get the boring things out of the way. Of course, we've got all of your cards, from heroic cards to event to item cards, and then you've also got your character cards, including the one for the Alien Zetan here as well, which was the pre-order bonus for Wave 1. You've got your dice. One thing I would say, folks, whenever you get your dice, do open them up and make sure you've received the correct ones. I know from the Facebook group that there have been a few folks, I think it's been primarily the blue and green dice, where it has just been numbers on the blue and green dice. There should be icons on there as well, which are unique to the game. So do check your dice, make sure they're correct. The factory that these have came from have misprinted a couple of them. At the moment, the community and Modiphius feel like it's just been one day's production has kind of misprinted the dice. So it shouldn't be widespread, but do check your dice. And if you do find that any elements of your two-player starter set are missing or are incorrect, do feel free to reach out to Modiphius' support email and let them know, and they will absolutely get on that as quickly as they can. So, that's all the kind of boring stuff out of the way, and all of the nitty-gritty and the fluff. Let's have a look at the miniatures. So, the first one, it's dominating the box, is the Death Claw, and the detail on this is fantastic. One thing that I was worried about with the PVC miniatures is that the detail will be lost in a lot of them. And in some cases, I will be honest with you, they are. Looking at some of the miniatures, I kind of wish I had them in resin form. But the reason why I went with PVC, perhaps wrongly, was because I knew I would be wanting to demo this game at a number of various locations. And I wanted to make sure that the miniatures that I had were robust enough to travel and be handled by potentially rough players who didn't touch my miniatures with delicacy, really. I don't know if any of those words make sense together, but hopefully you know what I mean. So I went with the more robust PVC. One thing I will say as well, if you do have the PVC miniatures, yep, we have it with the Death Claw as well, you may notice that whenever you place them down, they don't sit flat. Now, it's a very, very easy way to fix that. It's equally the same if you notice some of your miniatures maybe are leaning a little bit too far forward for your liking. It's a super simple fix. And in fact, let's take a break from unboxing this, and I'll show you how to actually very easily and very simply fix any warping or bending that you may have in your PVC minis. Okay, folks, so if you do find that your PVC miniatures have been warped, let's see if we can find one. So we had it with the Death Claw there. So as you'll see, he's a little bit wobbly on his feet. It's a very, very easy, simple fix. What I've got here in front of me is a cup of hot water, very hot water, and a cup of cold water, or just standard tap water. Now, all you're going to want to do is get your miniature. It's the base that we want to fix. He, as the miniature, is fine. There's nothing bent on his body. We're just going to want to dip this into... He almost fits inside the glass. We're just going to want to dip this into the hot water for about 30 seconds to a minute, just to allow the PVC to soften. And once it has softened, we'll bring it out. We'll mold it into place, kind of mold it flat. And then we'll dip it into the cold water, although I have a feeling he's not going to fit inside that glass. Yeah, the PVC is already a little bit soft there, so I'm pressing down firmly, pretty hard, just to make sure that all bends into place, and then dip it into the cold water just to firm it up. Basically, you may need to do this a couple of times per miniature, just make sure that it is all perfectly flat. It still hasn't properly cooled down, but feel free to do this a couple of times until you are happy with the results. But this is the simplest way and the quickest way to kind of fix any warps or bends that you may have in your PVC miniatures. So with that, let's get back to diving into some of the other miniatures that we've got in the box. Of course, we have the Deathclaw, which we've seen. We've then got the Alien Zayton, which is very, very, very cool. Of course, we do have unique rules for it, him, her as well. One of the other pre-order bonuses that you got, I think it was if you spent over £100, was the Nuka-Cola girl as well. She also has her own unique scenario, which sounds pretty awesome. Aside from that, we've got our Super Mutant Warband with a Super Mutant Brute, and 2 Super Mutants, as well as 2 Super Mutant Hounds also, which I'm really looking forward to getting stuck into and painting. I actually already do have a painting guide for the Super Mutants. I will be doing a new one and updating it, but if you want to check out my previous Super Mutant painting guide, you can check that out in the annotation in the top right of your screen. And finally, we get into the real cool minis, the Survivors. So the first one is a Brotherhood of Steel Power Armor, or the Sole Survivor in Power Armor, I believe it is, which looks very, very nice. Now, 2 miniatures that I'm slightly disappointed in the PVC are Dogmeat. The definition of his fur is kind of completely lost along the body. But that's fine. I believe I do have another Dogmeat in the Core Survivor, or the Survivor's Core box. And Nora has been another kind of problem mini in the community. The body, her gun, all of that is fine. Where you will find definition lost with PVC Nora is on her face. Her nose looks like somebody's just got a machete and kind of just sliced it off like a big slice of pepperami. The PVC miniature, much more defined. It's not a deal breaker, but if it does annoy you, you may need to look into maybe trying to source another Nora and maybe seeing if... I don't think she comes in any other box, so you may need to contact Modifius and see if they'd be willing to sell you a single Nora. Aside from that, we've then got 3 Settlers, all with their own unique look and weaponry. That is the kind of core miniatures that you're getting in your 2-player starter set. And this is everything that you'll need to play through not only a number of scenarios, but equally play the game with friends or lure other people into playing the game with you as well, so that they equally invest in getting their own little 2-player starter set. But just as we wrap things up, one thing I will say is if you do have a 2-player starter set, or if you've got a copy of Fallout Wasteland Warfare, and you're new to the hobby, and you're kind of lost in all of the rules, do not worry. I have a whole series planned which will take you through each step of the rule book, kind of looking at every different mechanic from movement to combat to skill checks, all of it. We'll be dissecting it, helping you understand it a lot more. So if that sounds like something that you might like or something that you could find helpful, please do feel free to hit the subscribe button down below. But in the meantime, please let me know what kind of warband or what group of characters you think you'll be playing most on the battlefield. But folks, in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Have a great week, and I'll speak to you all soon.